Well, thank you very much. By trade and by passion, I'm a filmmaker and a storyteller. When lights come down and cameras start rolling, interviewing strangers, that's just what I do for a living. A curiosity in strangers. A curiosity in strangers has changed my entire life. Last year, I got stranded in a country that I did not live in, and I decided to conduct a little social experiment with passers-by. What if for 30 days, I asked every stranger I came across, camera in hand, their take on the exact same question? What if we were that sincerely curious in what those around us had to share? What could we learn? Now, I don't know if this experiment was born out of inspiration or boredom, or thinking if I ever find myself on a stage one day, I am really going to need something to talk about. But what I do know is that this is a world full of sharp opinions and biases. We're told we live in a polarized world full of people really, really unlike each other. So this was going to be a daunting task because, yes, during those 30 days, I would hear convictions that contradicted everything that I held dear. Yes, I would be fully immersed in cultures and traditions completely foreign to me. Yes, I would have my every view and belief challenged. And yes, it would be one of the best things that I ever could have done, and the best thing that we could do together. I want to make a case today that curiosity, or a curiosity in strangers, is the cure for a polarized and isolated world. Because I firmly believe that you and I, we can be really, really unlike each other, and yet still really, really like each other. Now, despite its kumbaya tone, this actually has far more to do with practicality than just aimless bumper sticker positivity. Frankly, I want you to get quite selfish about all of this. The art of curiosity is going to serve every one of your best interests. Firstly, curiosity allows you to be level-headed if a conversation ever starts leaning towards conflict. Chris Voss, that used to be the FBI's lead hostage negotiator, he teaches it is impossible to be angry and curious simultaneously. And I mean, if it works for a hostage negotiation, odds are it'll probably work for your family at Thanksgiving. Secondly, curiosity is the cheat sheet when it comes to sales and networking. A recent Harvard Business Review highlighted a survey of 3,000 employees. 92% accredited curiosity as the catalyst for job satisfaction, motivation, and high performance. And there is no short supply when it comes to curiosity, ladies and gentlemen. There is never going to be nothing to get curious about. And thirdly, one of my favorites, the things that curiosity will do for your social articulation. Seriously, for the introverts out there, you will be blown away by how many people mistake curiosity for charisma. Seriously, it's true. This story, this invitation, it's an invitation, this story, this experiment, is an invitation to change the way we look at those around us, namely to become fascinated in those around us. And I am so excited to finally tell this story. If your kind mother ever taught you don't talk to strangers, you didn't hear it from me, okay? It was the fall of 2021. I packed my bags and I boarded a plane here in Salt Lake City. And I flew to Europe to film a wedding. And this is a filmmaker's dream, by the way. Are you kidding? To travel internationally, to document a magical day, to nod politely as a drunk uncle tells you about how far iPhone cameras have come and if he thinks you should be worried. Thank you. It's lovely to meet you, sir. Thank you for that. See the sights, roam the streets, and then board the plane again. Fantastic. This would be a 48-hour adventure. Now, I don't know if you know anything about the nature of storytelling or your history, but this is typically when a narrator would say something like, however. 2021 was an unpredictable time, least of all when it came to travel restrictions. When you could fly, where you could fly, this was a constantly spinning and changing roulette wheel in a game that no one seemed to be winning. In the 12-hour layover that I had in the United Kingdom, 12 hours, those travel restrictions changed dramatically. I know. It was 6 a.m. at the London Heathrow Airport. These stories never go well. And I was told it would be 30 days, a month, before I could fly from the United Kingdom back home to North America, all because I had been in the wrong place at the wrong 12-hour window. So as a filmmaker and a cinephile, I did what I think you're supposed to do at movies. I went and sat alone in an English pub. I had my camera, glad I had that. I had my backpack, I'm glad I had that. And I had nowhere to go, which I could have quite easily have done without. The real kicker, though, is what I learnt later that afternoon. Goodness. If I'd asked even one question, if I had been curious in the slightest, anyone could have quite easily have foreseen this travel restriction coming. This one, oddly enough, was actually fairly well documented in advance. For a little too long, I'd been a little too caught up in me, in myself, in my world, in my little echo chamber of information. For a little too long, I had neglected curiosity, and it had gotten me stuck in every sense of the word. So I decided that I would try to balance the universal scales, show whatever forces might be watching that I had learnt my lesson. I was going to get curious about the art of being curious. I was going to spend the next 30 days, camera in hand, asking every stranger I came across the exact same question. What's the best piece of advice you've ever come across? Or at least I was contemplating at the time to do so. That's a hefty commitment for 30 days, and I'm assuming at the time, quite a lot of strangers. So I looked up to the bartender. Give me a reason, give me a sign, give me any idea that this is something that I should do over the next 30 days.
Can I ask you a deep philosophical question before I go? What is the best piece of advice you've ever come across?
You've got so much to do, you don't know what to do, like, do something.
Just do something.
Just do something.
That'll do it.
So you're ahead of me, basically. That is asking for a sign and being struck by lightning, but it didn't matter, because thus began a cinematic adventure across the United Kingdom, asking every stranger I came across. Okay, let me ask you my favorite question to ask strangers and friends that I meet in an alleyway.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever had?
I came across hope, and I came across positivity.
Be kind and be open-minded.
Enjoy your life, be yourself.
I came across genuine sincerity.
Stay honest and real. It's more and more rare to find.
Certainly more honesty than I was expecting. Despite the camera, so many people were so willing to share their insights and their advice.
There's more time than I think there is. Follow your heart more than your mind.
Artists etching on the street.
Don't hear what other people say about it. Read it for yourself.
Preachers preaching on the street.
Either black or white, we are one.
Don't waste your time.
We should collect each and every memory. We should be happy.
To the local English policemen keeping those same streets safe.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever had?
Basically, for youngsters to keep out trouble.
I mean, he has to say that, obviously. I'm learning. It is very difficult indeed to have a life that is full of curiosity that is not also a life full of adventure. Curiosity is the doorway to education, to connection to adventure. Einstein himself said, "I'm not clever, nor especially gifted. I'm only very, very curious." Curiosity is what led me to one of the most impactful experiences of my entire life, a story that I'm getting a real kick out of calling the 30-day layover. I think it's catchy. Curiosity was the prerequisite to more laughter than I'd ever experienced, more insights than I'd ever had, and more connection than I had ever experienced. But it was what I didn't experience that I could not wrap my head around. And this is why I'm standing in front of you today. All those days, all those questions, and all those strangers, and not one single angry interaction. How is it that I or anyone could have hundreds of conversations on the street spanning perhaps the spectrum of controversial topics and not one single angry interaction? This was at times conversations on the street with strangers talking religion and politics, two references that'll turn any YouTube comment section into a massacre, and not one. No. I was promised by headlines and tweets a far more aggressive world than the one I found myself roaming around in. So either I'm mistaken or something is up.
What do you say, John?
I said you're better not watching the TV, not reading any papers.
And why is that, John?
Because it's bad news all the time.
There might be a reason why the world out there seems more polarized than the conversations that we might have in here. In today's various media outlets, when dollars are associated with clicks and associated with views, extremism is quite profitable, actually. Reassuring someone's current beliefs might very well incite a consistent business model, but it doesn't incite a great deal of curiosity. I had deep conversations on deeply controversial topics. And while these were emotional discussions, these were peaceful conversations. Curiosity resolved the anger, and curiosity resolved the distress. Now, I'm not disputing the seriousness of serious issues. There are complicated discussions to be had with a great deal of personal feelings tied to them. I know I had those conversations with total strangers, yet every one of them was a peaceful and civil interaction. Curiosity is the cure for an isolated and polarized world. The annual review writes that typically, this is just typically, Americans are polarized emotionally rather than ideologically. It is not the topic itself that typically brings about this emotion, but rather that ideology has not been heard, seen, or respected. And curiosity is listening at its best. Curiosity can take a conversation that, yes, in the digital space might very well have been a fight to the death. Curiosity can turn that into an explorative, collaborative discussion of ideas. My life has taken an entirely new trajectory since being stranded in the United Kingdom. I mean, I was born there. I just feel like I need to get that on the record. I can sense like one or two of you thinking, did he pick up that accent in 30 days? How impressionable is this guy? It was a life-changing experience. And I have people, some people whose names I don't even know, to thank for it.
We worked pretty hard at uni and probably didn't need to work that hard. We should have just enjoyed ourselves. I was going to say work.
Some of my views have changed. Some of my views, though, have stayed exactly the same, but the fear, the anger, the protective nature of it, it's all gone. And it feels really, really good.
If you are partying, you are drinking, you are enjoying, whatever you are doing, just do it passionately.
Curiosity is the cure. Curiosity in strangers is the cure to a polarized and isolated world.
The present, and don't think about the future or the past too much.
You two are like the coolest people. Thank you.
So, assume every friend, assume every enemy, assume every stranger has something that you desperately need to hear, because they most certainly do. Thank you.